Hello, I'm Craig Barton and welcome to another Tips for Teachers video. Now, we've spoken about the split attention effect in previous videos. It's the notion that if students have to split their attention between two different modes of information, it can be quite cognitively demanding and difficult to process. Well, what I'm about to share with you next is rather painful for me because it's almost as if I was aware of the split attention effect for the first 12 years of my career, but did the exact opposite of what it was saying. So I want you to imagine that you're my students and I'm going to set you a problem. So have a read of this problem. And whilst you're reading it, try and listen to what I'm saying. So I want you to read this problem really carefully. If you get stuck, feel free to use your notes. I want you to set out your work super carefully as well. Underline your answers, make sure you're neat. If you're stuck, you can speak to somebody. Now, if you were my students, you'd be thinking to yourself, just shut up. Please just shut up. Because it's so hard to read and listen simultaneously. Now, why is that the case? Well, it's all to do with how working memory processes information. We've got two channels in working memory, one that processes audio and one that processes images. Now, the problem with when you're trying to read text is you first see it as an image, but then you kind of read it out loud in your head like an internal monologue. So you've got the audio that you're trying to process from your reading, and on the top, I'm chatting away, giving you another stream of audio to process. And therefore, that auditory channel, the phonological loop of working memory, gets overwhelmed. So it's incredibly hard to process audio, to listen, whilst also reading at the same time. So I've really tried to cut this out of my teaching because I used to do it all the time. I would never shut up. So now I try to do two things. The first is, if I ever ask my students to read something, and as a maths teacher, could be an equation as well, it's all the same stuff, I shut up. And crucially, I ask my students to shut up in a nice way, of course. I want silence so that students can process that written text as easily as possible. Or if I suddenly realise I've got some instructions, something that I want my students to listen to, then it's no good me saying, okay, stop reading that now, listen to me, because students are still trying to process that text. So what I do in that case is I ensure all eyes are on me and not on the text. If I've got a PowerPoint with text on, I'll blank the screen, pressing B on PowerPoint or slide my projector, because I don't want students reading if I want them listening at the same time. So what do you make of that? Have you fallen into that trap, asking students to read and listen simultaneously? What could you do to avoid it?